Let's get nice and comfortable, Canes fans, for this Georgia Tech final thoughts video. This is a series where each week, around 24 to 48 hours before kickoff, I literally give my final thoughts on the game. It provides an opportunity, for maybe me to change my mind. Maybe a player got hurt. Maybe there was a big change. Something happened, and I want to come on here and say, guys, I want to change my score prediction. I want to change my thoughts on the game. But for this one, I think you already know where we're going. What is there really to say? Is there a chance at an upset here? And by upset, of course, we're talking about Georgia Tech upsetting the Miami Hurricanes. And I would say there's always a chance in every game. It's nothing is guaranteed in football or life in general. So there's always a chance you could lose a game. You could overlook an opponent. Things could, just not go your way. Crazier things have happened. With that being said, it's not going to happen tomorrow at Hard Rock, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Miami versus Georgia Tech. There is just no freaking way. This game is a recipe for disaster for the Yellow Jackets. Let's talk about it here for a moment. Miami has the 9th best rushing offense in the country right now, averaging around 223 yards on the ground per game. Get this. Georgia Tech is the 3rd worst in the country in rushing yards allowed per game. As I said, recipe for disaster for the Yellow Jackets. Their offense has been not too bad, honestly. It's nothing to write home about, so to say, but it's really been their defense that has hurt them a lot this season. And speaking of their defense, we already talked about this in the preview video, but they demoted their DC after the Bowling Green loss. I think this is also something that probably hurts the Yellow Jackets. I mean, maybe it hypes them up a little bit. You might see some slight changes and things, and the Miami Hurricanes coaching staff is aware of this, obviously, and they have acknowledged that they might get some different looks that they haven't seen on film the past, 5 weeks with Georgia Tech. So they know what's coming, but I think that in the end, it's probably a bad thing. I mean, that's a big position to change, to bring in a new face. And by new face, the guy was the co-OC and linebackers coach. But I just don't know how man, Miami fans, we've been in this position before, right? Well, we're calling for somebody's head, midway through the season or close to it. And I just think that it's really, really bad for Georgia Tech. And also when you factor in Miami's coming off of a bye week, so we're nice and rested up. Georgia Tech is coming off of that crushing defeat against Bowling Green. So there's a good chance that they're hanging their heads. Hard Rock should be a pretty lit atmosphere with the blackout and the Miami Knights debuting. It's just not going to be a good night for them at all. I mean, there are some things that Georgia Tech could do. I do expect them to score. You guys have seen my score prediction. 34-20. I understand it's not very popular. Miami could score a lot more than this. I need y'all to know this. It's not me backpedaling on my prediction. I still am standing firm and I've locked it in 34-20. Miami could put up 50 plus in this game. They really could. Georgia Tech's defense, I believe, is that bad. They struggle to tackle. Their linebackers are I don't say trash, but their linebackers are not very good. And again, the DC change, it's not going to be good. I really don't know how else to tackle this final thoughts video. It's just not going to be a good night for the Yellow Jackets. And I know that they're hyped up on Haynes King. And if I wanted to give an area, if I wanted to try to be generous here for a moment to the Yellow Jackets, bear with me. They might have a slight edge in their passing offense versus Miami's defense. But that's also assuming that, we don't have a lot of success in our pass rush getting to Haynes King. because we saw at times in the Temple game where Warner was actually able to pick apart our defense a little bit. So, Georgia Tech is probably going to look at that, and Haynes King is not a terrible quarterback. He's not. He's not Tyler Van Dyke. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the Sea-Dog interview from my Inside Insight video when he said that he believes that the edge for Georgia Tech is the quarterback position, Haynes King over Tyler Van Dyke. I think that's just silly. I don't think that you can say that with a straight face and actually believe it. I don't believe anyone could. But Haynes King is not a terrible quarterback. Really, he's not. And Georgia Tech is going to be looking to throw the ball on us a lot. They're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at us. I wouldn't say that they have nothing to lose. I mean, they're sitting at 2-3 at the moment, so a win over us, a ranked opponent, number 17 Miami Hurricanes, would be huge. It would make them a 50% team on the season. So I wouldn't say they have nothing to lose, but they are the team that is expected to lose in this game, right? So for them, they're going to be trying to get the upset. Georgia Tech has given Miami fits in the past. That is the past. I understand. But I really don't think we have to worry about this Miami team overlooking Georgia Tech. It's nice to have a coaching staff here and a group of players that I think are really hungry this season. They've gotten a taste for winning. I mean, we're sitting at 4-0 right now, and we're kind of flying under the radar, which I think is a good thing. There are a lot of Canes fans saying, Coop, Miami should be top 10 in the country right now, and I can't believe all the success that I'm seeing, and people aren't talking about the Canes enough. Let's continue to fly under the radar and just keep winning games and prove people wrong. We don't need the pats on the back. So I love it because, I think that this coaching staff and these players are so hungry right now. They know what winning feels like, and there's no way that they want to take an L. And coming off of a bye and being rested up. And let's also keep in mind that when we're talking about the coaching staff, it's been reported that there are going to be over 40, yes, 40 blue chip recruits in attendance at this game. And if I'm not mistaken, 7 of those are 5 stars. So the coaching staff is going to be looking to impress with all these recruits, in attendance, and that was the case against Texas A&M as well. Remember, we kind of went all out, and the coaching staff brought in a lot of big-time recruits, and it made a big-time impression. Let's be real, it did. And with this being a nighttime game, the blackout, and if Miami gets a big win here against Georgia Tech to kick off conference play, to be 1-0 in the ACC, it would be absolutely massive. The coaches know what's at stake. The players know what's at stake. Cam Kinchens is back. Hopefully Mesidor and Dean are back. Let's hope that Fletcher is 100%. We're going to see a heavy dose of all those running backs, man. I've heard talks about Christopher Johnson maybe trying to earn some playing time, but it's tough to say, right? The running back room is just loaded. We're stacked in that position group. But I just think it's going to be really what I see happening is Miami getting – I see Miami jumping out and getting a big lead in this game. I'm talking something like we go into halftime and it's 24-0, 24-3, something like that. And then I think in the second half, it's not that we take our foot off the gas, because you guys already know Dawson's motto. You get conservative, you get beat. He wants to give it all, all game. But again, with a heavy dose of the run game, which it doesn't mean we're not airing it out. Doesn't mean that we're not going vertical, but Georgia Tech's real true weakness is stopping the run. They just struggle with that so bad. And I think that we can ground and pound here and wear them down. And I do expect Miami to run the ball a lot. So again, that's kind of, we already talked about it, how I came to the 34-20. But I do think at times, to kind of wrap this thing up, they are going to catch us slipping a little bit in the secondary. I think Haynes King is going to be able to hit some open wide receivers. They got some young guys, some playmakers there. They like to involve Jamal Haynes, their running back, in the passing game as well. Have to keep an eye on him. And there is a chance here that Haynes King picks up some yards on the ground. He's not a true dual-threat quarterback by any means, but I think he's got a little over 150 rushing yards so far this season, so we might see a little bit of that. It's just going to be interesting, man. Georgia Tech is just not a good football team all around. They gave Louisville a run for their money. They were in the Ole Miss game, maybe there for a little bit early on. They took care of Wake Forest, but they're just not Miami. Miami wins on paper. Miami has more talent. Miami is more athletic. Miami is just the better team across the board. And with that being said, there really is nothing else to say in this final thoughts video. Miami takes care of business. Miami is 5-0 going into North Carolina. We get a comfortable win against Georgia Tech. And then we begin preparations for North Carolina. Mac Brown, Drake May. I know that the NCAA approved, what's the guy's name? Tez Walker, the wide receiver. They approved his waiver, so, Tar Heel fans are excited about that. But that's next week. We're taking it 1 week at a time, one game at a time, and right now it's Georgia Tech. Let me know your final thoughts in the comment section below. If you've changed your mind on anything, you're having second thoughts, maybe you're more worried than you were before, maybe you're more excited than you were before, and you thought the Canes were going to win by 20, and now you think it's going to be by 50. You let me know. That's the point of this series, the final thoughts, but I am not worried in the slightest because I'm trusting that the coaching staff and the players are taking this game serious and we're not looking past anyone. That time has passed when we would have players and coaches that would overlook teams. We're not going to do that anymore. We're not. I'm hoping that this Miami team has learned their lesson, and I do believe that they have, man. The leadership that we have in the building is finally what it needs to be. Let me know your final thoughts down in the comment section below, guys. I'm looking forward to it. The blackout. Coop's already starting to rock the black, baby. I'm excited. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to be 5-0, undefeated. Let's go, Canes. Hey, let's chop it up in the comment section. I'll see y'all later.